Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started. One story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. You walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
My ADH is in full effect today. I'm feeling some kind of way. Good morning. Can you imagine? I'm 61. Can you imagine when I was 5? My poor mother. God rest her soul. She that woman, boy, all 22 of them, they had their hands full Trust me. So I am so excited to be here today. I really am. Great show. Great show. One of those stories today. You know those ones where you sit there and you go, what? Right. One of those coming up. But before that comes about a couple things. First of all, how you doing? Huh? Holiday season, getting that shopping done. I ordered a couple more things online. Yet I don't know why I do that. Every year I say I ain't buying nothing online. They make me sick. Always sending stuff 2 months late, this, that, and the other. And then I should, when I'm doing that, is when I should order so it has a chance of getting here on time. But then I procrastinate. Then I end up buckling and ordering late, and it comes 2 months later. I'm doing this to myself. But I did go out last weekend, and I'm looking over there because that's my hiding spot. I think I got about half of my shopping done. Everything but that, you got that big present you got to get for your significant other, your spouse. Yeah, I still have that one. I'm trying to decide between a new large screen TV, right? Because we need one in our family room. But is that like buying your spouse a vacuum cleaner? You know what I mean? Like it's for everybody, but you give it to them because you really want to use it too. Not the vacuum cleaner, but the TV. But anyway, was that wrong? Or should I just do what I go to every year, either a new phone or a piece of jewelry? Put in the comments. What do you think I should do? So all the other stuff I'm done with. And now it's all about, oh, and here's the most important thing. I have in my dining room right now, like 17. I buy like those cookie tins, the popcorn things and all those. And then in our hall closet where the coats are, I keep a pencil hanging, right? This is a good hack. You're going to love me for this one. A pencil hanging and a whole bunch of blank cards already sealed, right? And then when neighbors and people stop by that you didn't get anything for or expect, and you go, oh, hold on, I have something for you too. Then you go in the closet, and while you acting like you reaching, write their name on the card real quick, grab one of them tins of cookies, I even got a roll of tape stuck in there. I go, stick it right, boom, here you go. Merry Christmas, Cindy. Works every time. So anyway, there you go. You may thank me later. So today we have an author, an executive director of a nonprofit, a mom, a survivor, a believer, all kinds of things. Here's the book. He Heard My Cry. Boy, raise your hand. Put some hearts on the screen. There's my hand. If you've ever been able to say this and mean it, he heard my cry. Amen. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, and before, so there's the book, Rolanda. Oh, the book has a Von in the middle. Now, this last name, y'all, I could have asked her how to pronounce it, but you know me, I love to guess. Where am I? I'm going to try to come. See, I am peeking around the book. I am thinking this last name is pronounced. I had it a minute ago. Wait a minute. Macharia. That's what I'm gonna go, or Macharia. It could be that. I started with Macharia and then went to Macharia. I'm gonna go back to Macharia. I think it's Rolanda Macharia. That's how I was at Macharia. So anyway, she's here today. We're gonna talk about the book and how we got to it. And she's taken the book a couple steps beyond just a book. We're going to talk about that too. First time here. So on our P's and Q's, let's roll out the virtual red carpet, shall we? We do that. We pour into this guest so she can pour into us by putting some hearts on the screen. It's a virtual way of applauding, of saying welcome, getting to our feet, if you will. So here she comes, you guys. Put some hearts on the screen for Rolanda Macharia. Oh, good morning. How are you, Rolanda?
Good morning, Dr. Lauren. I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm awesome. Blessed, highly favored, living in Dominion, just
yes.
like you. And before we get started, so I don't get sued, it's in her contract. Help me welcome to the show my sidekick, Miss Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. She's been here almost 8 years with me. And also, there's the bell of purpose. You're going to hear me ring it when some truth is out there, and I don't want you to miss it. And the truth, just like that bell, That's right. It has a ring to it. So that's what that is. The bell of purpose is here. So welcome. Tell everybody, I'm going to leave for a second and let you, and then I'm going to come back and do a little bit more introducing. But I like to give the guests a minute or so just to like find their own vibe with the audience. Just say hello, tell them some of the things you want them to know personally, and then I'll pop back in and we'll officially get started. Is that okay?
That sounds great to me.
Okay. All you take it away.
Good morning, everyone. He was so close. It's ROLANDA MAHARIA. So if you think machine, MAHARIA, but I'm super excited to be here this morning. I'm super excited to always be able to share the hand of God in my life and what he's done for me. First, I'm a mom of 5 and a bonus daughter. I have 21 grandchildren with my newest on its way in April. I'm super excited. And I live in Anna, Texas, right outside of McKinney. I was raised in Los Angeles, California, and Hollywood for about 11 years. And it's amazing to be a part of this opportunity to share with you the journey that God has placed in my heart and on my life. So thank you so much, Dr. Lauren, and your entire team. You guys rock.
Thank you. You
Welcome.
know, I used to live in Hollywood.
Yes.
I did for like 9 years. I lived all over, but my main domicile was on Las Palmas Boulevard, across the street from the Hollywood Bowl and right in the foothills there, right down from Hollywood and Highland.
Yes, know exactly where that is. I was I was near Cahuenga, Las Palmas, been over by Cherokee Park, right across from the big movie theater there that with the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Hollywood was the stomping grounds for over a decade.
What was that? Is that the Fox? What was that? I know what you're talking about. Right on Hollywood Boulevard.
Man's Chinese
Theater.
Man's
Chinese. Oh, the
Man's Chinese Theater.
I was right around the corner. I could walk there in 5 minutes from my apartment. Yeah.
Well, Hollywood is wonderful. It is wonderful.
We probably walked past each other and didn't even know it back then. So listen, my goodness, 21 grandchildren. So at that point, 21, you can't say children anymore. You got to say cheering. 21 grandchildren. Oh my goodness. And boy, that's a lot of birthdays to keep track of.
Yes. I keep track of my kids' birthdays and they keep track of their kids' birthdays. So I usually get a text message, hey mom, it's Demarion's birthday tomorrow. So they keep me on track because there's no way I would remember all of
That's a lot. That really is. I just want to say good morning to all of you that are watching. Dr. Sheila, I see you. How you doing? And there's some, they're all over the place this morning. Robert Brooker, Sherry McQueen, my diehards. Good morning. Starts with I do. Good morning, everybody. And the rest of you some of you, it just says Facebook followers or Facebook person, and then, all kinds of different stuff. I see you. Hello. So listen, let's get started.
Yes.
Tell everybody. Well, let me just here. I'm going to just here. Listen to this, you guys. So in 2014, ROLANDA, her husband of 19 years tragically perished in a house fire. And I know how that can be. I had 2 house fires growing up. Blessedly, no one died in them. No one got hurt. But boy, that smell of when you go back and look over the remnants and stuff, that I'm closing my eyes because I can still smell it. Just stays with you forever. So with 5 children, Yolanda and her youngest being a 15-year-old daughter, they struggled to make sense of it all, and it went from there. So I want to just get started. Take us back to you went to bed, and this is the part the place I like to start. How we're moving along, living our lives. We know things can happen, but you always think it happens to other people, especially like fires and accidents. Everybody stands across the street watching it burn, burn, burn. Or everybody slows down. What's happening? Anybody dead? Trying to see, you know what I mean? Because that's that thing in us that we think it's always someone else. And it's like, it draws us. We can't stop staring at it until it happens to us. So take us back to that last night that everything was right. Everybody went to bed normally. The house was in full. Everybody was there. And then you had no way of knowing this is the last day it will ever be like this. Take us back to that jumping off point if you could.
Absolutely. So that was October 22nd, 2014 is when we actually had the house fire. But the day before was a regular day. 4 of my children were already adults. We had our last baby, who is 15 years old at the time, was the last one in the house. And so it was a regular day. It's about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. People are outside playing basketball, having a great time. I leave and went down to Dallas to go hang out with a friend of mine. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, I received a phone call from my son who said, "Mom, your house is on fire." And I said, what do you mean my house is on fire? He said, "John," which is his friend that lived across the street from high school. He said, "John just called and said your house is on fire." So I'm flying on the freeway. I'm calling everybody. He tells me everybody's accounted for except my husband. So he's called all the kids and everybody is accounted for and answering except my husband. So the whole time I'm driving on the freeway, I'm calling the number, I'm texting my husband, I'm saying, "Hey, give us a call. Where are you?" And I did not get a response. And so by the time we got back to McKinney, there was news media, the ambulance, fire department. Our house burned for about 4 hours. And during that 4th hour, I had the chaplain, the McKinney chaplain from the police department, as well as the fire chief. They reached out, came over to where I was standing. They said, "Hey, let me take you down to one of the ambulances further down on the block." And when they took me there, they took me inside and they said, "We were finally able to make entry into your home. And we did find Michael. He is upstairs and he is deceased." So at this point, our entire family we're not from Texas, we're from California. So it was me, my husband, and my children that moved here to Texas. The rest of my family was still in California and Arizona. So that's how I found out my house was on fire. And after watching it engulf for 4 hours, and then it jumped our house and hit another person's house. So their house was on fire. But they were able to get that elderly couple in their 80s. They were able to get them out. So they survived. And our house, it completely was destroyed. Like not even the bricks were salvageable. They were only able to keep the concrete slab down at the bottom. And so that's how I lost my husband of 19 years. And in that process, my daughter, again, you think about a 15-year-old sophomore who has to go to school every day. And then when you go to school, everybody, these are kids. They don't know. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad." And it's this constant barrage of memories that my father is no longer alive, that we've lost my dad in this house fire. And then we ended up moving in with my son and his son because our obviously our home was gone and all we had was the clothes that we had on our back. But that process and being in that level of pain, because what you find yourself doing is I'm in administrative mode right now and I don't have the ability to grieve because I have to plan in less than 24 hours, I received a call from the medical examiner for McKinney that says, "Where would you like us to release the body?" I've never lost anyone in my life. Like both of my parents are still alive. So this was very new to me. Like to get that call, hadn't even thought that far in this process yet. I was still in shock about what had happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Lawrence.
Well, I'm just saying that's a great point because you're kind of stuck, like it's surreal, but then the business side of tragedy still
Correct.
moves. Still
It
moves.
still
And
moves.
they're
It
calling.
still moves.
And this is what they do every day. So it's not like they're, oh.
Right.
I mean, they have bedside manner, but they still trying to get their work done.
Exactly. And I remember asking the medical examiner, I asked her, our family is not here. My husband's family hasn't seen him in 6 years. I'm like, they're going to come in for a funeral. And I asked, can I have an open casket? Because again, I'm not even sure what's happening. Like, can we have an open casket? And she asked me, she said, have you ever seen someone who died in a house fire or any fire before? And I said, no. And she said, well, I'll tell you like this. He has some features of Michael, but he doesn't look like who you remember. So based off that, I had to make a decision whether we would have an open casket for our family to see him one last time or not, because would they see the Michael that they remember? And so I talked to my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and I talked to my 15-year-old daughter. And we had come to an agreement that it was better not to have an open casket for my husband. And so
I agree.
yeah, the last visual I remember seeing of my husband is where he was fine. And that's the visual I'm
That's the
glad that
memory you want. Absolutely. Now, don't they usually make you come and identify, though, to make sure it was him?
They didn't have me come identify at all. As a matter of fact, when I got to the mortuary, what they asked me, because we decided to do a cremation, and what they asked me is they said, we took pictures. I couldn't go identify. I believe someone else went to identify on my behalf because I was not in a I was not in a state of mind to go do it.
Okay, because somebody could have went in, foul play, and you know how, and it's true, people do that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Okay, so you get past that part. So right here now, I'm gonna just pull out the traffic guard, the crossing guard to stop some traffic. Okay, the book.
Yes.
The book. We're gonna kind of jump back and forth. And so I know what some people are thinking right now, especially somebody that may have dealt with a tragedy, the loss of someone like a spouse or a child, and have not forgiven, are still holding on, they're still angry or whatever, and they see this title, He Heard My Cry, because I'm sure the cry started in the car driving from where you were back to your hometown. I'm sure you were praying along the way, and your cry had started there. So somebody's going, how in the world did he hear your cry and he let your husband perish?
Right.
Talk about,
yeah,
you know where I'm going.
Yeah. So actually, this is the amazing thing about God, right? When the book He Heard My Cry is not as a result of losing my husband. The book He Heard My Cry was in 1999, February of 1999. I lost my husband in October of 2014. So the He Heard My Cry is an entirely different arena of my life. Basically, I'm raised in this abusive relationship with my dad. My father, my grandmother's Caucasian, my grandfather's Black. My daddy was born in 1949 in Macon, Georgia, where you didn't even have the right to vote or sit where you wanted to sit in 1949.
And here they are hooking up.
Exactly. So my grandparents have these 5 kids. My dad is the youngest of those 5 kids. During this time, my grandfather left my grandmother, and my grandmother ended up getting all the kids taken by the state of Georgia and put in foster care. So my father was raised in foster care. At the age of 14 years old, they placed him in a mental institution called Milledgeville Mental Institution. For anybody who doesn't know the history of Milledgeville, if you go to YouTube and you type in Milledgeville Mental Institution, you will find out it was a state asylum that was funded by the government. However, they didn't even have doctors. They had literally had mental health patients being the doctors. People were given Dr. Harris.
Shut your mouth.
They don't wrote books about it. They got videos on the atrocities that took place in Milledgeville, where children were given electric shock treatments to their brains. They were given lobotomies. You have kids in cages. All of this was happening in Milledgeville before the government. They actually had to speak before the Supreme Court and talk about what had happened there in Milledgeville Mental Institution. But I say that to say that's the dad who ended up raising me and my little sister when him and my mom's relationship didn't work out.
Can we take a peek? I got some Milledgeville. A little short clip.
Yep, feel free.
And because I think it's going to really tie in here. And I never heard this is good. Oh my goodness. So, and how many people assume that this book is about what happened with your husband? A lot, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think that some people, when I speak, because I'm a public speaker as well, so when I speak, they kind of understand, like, even though I got saved later on, life still lifing, and I still had to experience this life and all the different things that came with it, including grief and tragedy and loss. So I wasn't exempt from that, from giving my heart to Christ.
There you go. Let's take a peek inside this Milledgeville saga, and then we'll get back to it.
Sprawling, overbearing, and derelict, these 200 buildings once made up one of the largest and most notorious state-run psychiatric hospitals in the world. Based in Milledgeville, a small town less than 100 miles from Atlanta, the Central State Hospital's dark legacy is infamous with local residents. Founded in the 19th century as the Georgia State Lunatic, Idiot, and Epileptic Asylum, a lack of funding and a primitive approach to mental health led to brutal treatments and at times deteriorating conditions.
It's strange, but when I was a little kid and I was misbehaving, my father would threaten me by saying, "I'm going to send you down to Milledgeville," and I would shut up. But to be here voluntarily all these years later, it feels a little wrong.
A small section of the hospital is still in operation.
There are still patients here at Central State Hospital, over 300 of them, and it's important to remember that this is still an active hospital. It's very disrespectful to them and to their treatment to try to come out here and either break into the buildings or quote unquote hunt for ghosts.
Beyond the working hospital, most of the estate is now in disrepair, and in recent years, dark tourism has attracted an influx of urban explorers keen to record Milledgeville's sinister legacy. But structural damage and reports of decades-old asbestos mean that the interiors of most of the buildings are officially off-limits. Roofs have caved in, windows have been boarded up, and staircases have collapsed. But perhaps more powerful than the actual buildings are the thousands of graves of former patients, a chilling reminder that many people entered Milledgeville, but never left.
Oh my
So
goodness.
when you look at the stakes here, they all do have numbers on them. And it's sort of a misnomer that we don't know who they all are. But we do know who every person is who's buried here. The numbers were for privacy purposes.
Many locals have relatives who either worked at the hospital or were admitted there. For some, not enough is being done to honor their memory.
I feel sorry for my great-grandmother. She was in that building right there. If I can't relive and memorialize her and what she did here, at least you could memorialize where she stayed and the hospital that she spent her entire life in.
Oh, her
Over the
whole
years,
life.
Racism, sexism, and what's now viewed as a rudimentary, if not brutal, approach to treating patients with mental health issues meant that by the 1960s, the hospital's population had swollen to over 12,000 patients.
What?
So my great-grandfather sent his wife, Betty Stubbs, to Central State. And I'm of the opinion that she had postpartum syndrome and had to live here for almost 30 years, either pretending that she was not normal so that she could cope, or just living in a fog. 18.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Boy.
Yes.
I'm
1950
gonna
were 10,000.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot wait to go and hold on.
Learn more about it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, Dr. Lauren, because my dad, when he raised me and my sister, I was 4 and my little sister was 2. So my dad is like 21. Unbeknownst to us, he had been in the mental institution. My mom knew about it, but he was given 26 electric shock treatments to his brain at 14 years old. And so fast forward, he's raising us. He's depressed. He's now schizophrenic. He's on medication. He's mentally, verbally, very physically abusive to both of us. So by the age of 14 years old, I ran away from home. And that's how I ended up in Hollywood, is I ran away from our home in Los Angeles and I went to Hollywood. I was homeless, sleeping on the bus benches out there on Sunset Boulevard.
Like you see in all those movies where the kids
Exactly.
go there and end up being trafficked and
Exactly. That was me. I was climbing in abandoned buildings. They had some hotels up there in Hollywood that were abandoned at the time. And so people would break in the window and climb through the window to sleep in those rooms. So that's where I was. And I ended up meeting my husband, Craig Shumwell, who is his mother was the lead singer for the Sweet Inspirations, and that's the group that was with Elvis Presley that started initially with Cissy Houston, Whitney Houston's mom.
Yeah.
So I met them, and I'm immediately engulfed into this entertainer's family in Hollywood, in a world where smoking cocaine, snorting cocaine was the normal. It was for the elites.
And what year was this? So we get a...
Yes, this was 1985. I was 15 years old.
1985.
Yes.
I was there.
Yep, 1985.
I was there in 1985. I was starting my career in music there. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So
and that was, just for a point of reference, everybody, that was when you would walk the streets of Hollywood, you'd see the little brown glass vials.
Yep.
The vials, because crack came in a glass bottle back then. Wasn't in a little piece of plastic. It had a little brown bottle with a black top on it. And I remember going on Hollywood Boulevard and suddenly seeing all these little bottles on the sidewalk. And I was like, what are these? And that was the beginning of the crack epidemic.
Yes, it was.
Okay, keep going. Just incredible. Yeah. Keep going.
And so I was very green. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. You know, I was a straight A student in school, but now I'm this 8th grade dropout. I drop out of school in the 8th grade because I ran away from home. So now I have, you know, no formal education. I'm sleeping on the streets. I meet this family, and Craig ended up taking me in and taking care of me. But in the process of taking care of me, I get pregnant with our first son, LaShadion. I'm 15 years old when I'm pregnant. So he's born when I'm 16. And then Craig and I get married when I'm 18, and I'm pregnant with our second son. But in that process, it was so much drugs and alcohol. And there was a building in Hollywood called the Tamarind Building. It was right off of near Yucca and Cahuenga. But this building was like New Jack City. You had down on the first floor, you had the lookout people with the radio walkie-talkies that'll tell you one time is coming. On the second floor, you had all the drugs being sold. And on the third floor, you had weapons and arsenal. And you had where you could take your drugs up to one of the smoke houses. And as long as you gave somebody some, you get to sit in there and smoke drugs. So this was the environment that I was placed in and I was engulfed in. So green, didn't know any of this. And I realized everybody around me is getting high. Everybody around me is smoking crack.
Yeah.
On a daily. Even the ones I'm living with, even Craig, even his family, they're all getting high, smoking crack. So here I am. I finally say, can I have some? I just want to fit in. Can I have what y'all got?
That's what happened to me.
Right.
My 14 years of it started right out there. And I'm going to tell you something real quick, point of reference. Mine started, you know how mine started? I wasn't, don't get it twisted. People assume that every situation is like what you're describing. Yeah. I was at a friend's house for dinner.
Yeah.
And we ate dinner. And when it was finished, they cleared off the dining room table. My friend, his sister, and both parents smoked crack, and they put it all on the table like it was dessert.
Yes.
And I was like, what is this? Next thing you know, there you go.
Right.
And I'm like, right. So keep going. Oh, my goodness. Oh.
So they offer me, I get my first cocaine in a pipe, and I'm smoking crack.
Took one hit.
My heart started racing real fast. I felt like I was going to die. I went in the room and sat in the corner, and I was just like, please, God, I don't want to die. Now, mind you, I wasn't spiritual. I wasn't raised in church. I had no connection with a higher power or anything like that in my mind. But when my heart was racing like that, I knew that I felt like I was going to die. And I was just like, please, I don't want to die. I fell asleep later. And then the next day, it was back to everybody getting high, everybody in the house smoking. And I'm back to that again. Like, okay, at this point, I just want to be part of this. The only family I have at this moment. I don't have a relationship with my mom. I have run away from home from my dad. So it's just me. And this is my new family. And so what they're doing, I want to be a part of it. So before you know it, I'm a 15-year-old drug addict. And
wow.
In that
with
a baby.
With a baby. Now you're not pregnant at this point.
At right after I started smoking crack is when I got pregnant with my son.
Did you quit? Did you quit because you were pregnant?
I quit only because I was pregnant. But as soon as he was born, I was right back at it.
I was gonna say now. I know a lot of people. Which clearly she quit when she got into pregnant. No, because I saw out there in Hollywood. I'll never
Yes.
forget it. I saw a woman who had to be 9 months pregnant. It was hanging all down. She was way out here, and she was tearing it up. Tearing
Yes.
it. So, because that thing, you got to remember, everybody, this had not been. This crack stuff came in. It was affordable. It took people to. It was because before all this was for rich
Right.
people.
Right.
You know, we didn't. So, okay. So, what was it like? Let's just talk briefly about this.
Yeah.
How did you do it? How did you stop after you were pregnant and you're still living in that situation? Because I'm going to tell you, when I was inside my addiction, I swear I was so scared because I remember the day I realized, oh my God, this next to true love, this addiction, I believe for me anyway, is the most powerful force on this planet. Because I know people go, they're just weak people.
Right.
Do that.
Right. Exactly.
No.
Mm-mm.
One time, and I didn't even try. When they gave me crack that night, they didn't put it in a pipe. They put it in a joint.
Yeah.
And didn't even tell me, and I was like, it smells funny and sweet. They said, oh, that's the Primo.
The Primos. Yes, that's what they called them.
That's what they called it. And that was all it took. So keep going. But how difficult was it, Rolanda, as a pregnant teenager living in this world day in and day out to not use, even though you're pregnant?
Right. For me, I think it was because it was the beginning of my usage when I found out that I was pregnant. So I wasn't knee deep into addiction yet. And then I went to the hospital, and when they let me hear my baby's heartbeat, and just something as a mom, something inside of me was just like, wow, I have a whole baby that I'm responsible for. So it just hit me like I have to take, and I was at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, and I remember going in and they were saying, wow, you're the youngest client we've ever had here that is pregnant. And you just saw them try to wrap their arms around me like, oh my God, you're a kid. So here I am. And I think it was the hospital staff, them and me realizing that I'm responsible for this new baby, which was the driving force for me. But as soon as he was born, the baby's father was still back with the drugs and situation. So I just started again right there. And then that's when I became knee deep into addiction. But in those 9 years that we were together, it was the addiction. And if you know anything about crack cocaine, like you might have started off with money. That family started off with money. But when that money dried up and royalties wasn't coming in, or they were waiting on this commercial to pay royalties or whatever, it was the stealing from your mama, stealing from your friends, stealing people's cars, stealing people's money. So before you know it, my husband, Craig, and I got married. I am being abused. I'm being beat up. And he was a Golden Glove boxing champion out of Newark, New Jersey. I was 105 pounds soaking wet. So I couldn't beat him, but every time I turned around, I got black eyes, busted lips. I'm getting beat up all the time, stealing the rent money, the whole nine. So for 9 years, between infidelity, abuse, drug addiction, stealing everything out of our home, I would buy a TV on a Monday, and by Wednesday, the TV, I come home from work and it's missing. It's gone. And so you had that type of environment for the next 9 years.
Right.
Before.
See, people laugh from those movies. Like, for instance, I believe it's like New Jack City or one of them in there. You remember Fridays or whatever, and the crackhead knock on the door and say, Craig, can I borrow your mama's microwave? Remember that? Right.
They dead serious.
And they dead serious. I remember in my, right. People wouldn't even come. If I could show up at a family member's house, they put all their stuff in the trunk of the car.
Right, exactly.
Because they already know.
What you gonna walk out there with.
They already know. So let's talk about when the transition started. Yes. Where did you the cry? Because it's like a phone call. You call, it's gonna answer. It's gonna answer. Yes. Talk about how that got started. What was the first thing you remember that initiated what I refer to as the beckoning? When
Yes.
something greater than you say, you want better? You want out? Come here.
Yep.
Come here.
I didn't. So I'll just tell you this. I finally divorced Craig and I married Michael, who passed away 19 years later. So in marrying Michael, unbeknownst to me, Michael also had a drug addiction problem.
A secret life?
Yes. What I didn't know when we were dating, but after we got married, different things started to happen. Stuff started missing. He wouldn't come home. Just I started to see the same patterns that I had saw with Craig, and then that's when I started to find things. I found a pipe one day in his pants pocket, and that's
so it was crack.
It was crack. He was on crack. So
what poured through you? What flew through you in that moment when you pulled that? We were like,
I was devastated. I was devastated because it's like, man, I just left this, you know.
Right. What's wrong with me?
Do this again, you know. I don't want to live like this. And at this point, Craig and I had 4 children together before the divorce. So now I marry Michael and we have our daughter. We have a 5th child. And now I got 5 kids, all under and Craig had got murdered. So now it's not even like their dad can help them anymore, because when my oldest son was 12, Craig had got killed. His best friend shot him in the chest in North Hollywood and killed him. So I look around and now I have these 5 children. 4 of them don't have their dad there. And now 5th, you on drugs. I can't do this anymore. This is just way too much for me. So I ended up, I'll never forget, we got married October of 1999, October of 1998. February of 1999, the helicopters lit up my street. Now I was living in a suburb in Winnetka, California at the time. So these helicopters lit up my street and I walked outside to find out what was going on. Unbeknownst to me, it was my husband. He had taken the police on a 2-hour chase on the freeway. So he's all over the news, Dr. Lauren. He's on the news. The news cameras, everything is there. I thought he went to drop his friend off at home. I had no idea. It's 1:00 in the morning that he is on a high-speed chase with the police. So
he must have tried to do something.
He was drunk driving and would not pull over. He got 4 years in a penitentiary for that. Drunk driving, failure to yield, gave him 4 years.
And then trying to escape. Right.
So that's when that happened, that just broke everything that I had left in me. I didn't have any more fight and I went to kill myself. So then I took my kids to daycare and my other kids to school. I called my job and told them I wasn't coming in to work that day. And I went home and I started writing my suicide note. And I was literally about to take my life. It was not my intention to be alive 30 minutes later. So as I was writing the note, at the end of the note, I said something like, Father God, help me, please. Show me what I need to do to be free. Open my eyes and make me believe again that there's still humanity. As for now, I'm drowning in sorrow as large as the sea. So I ask you, Lord, to save my soul and grab a hold of me. Mind you, I was not Christian. I didn't grow up in church. I don't even know why I wrote the words God or Father or any of that. But at that moment, I heard his voice. And it was the first time I ever heard an audible voice like that. And this is what he said to me. He said, what are you going to do with your kids? He said, are you going to give your sister Ida, for your audience? My sister Ida is my baby sister and has 6 kids. He said, are you going to give your sister Ida 11 kids? Her 6 plus your 5? He says, are you going to give your sister Pat 10 kids? Her 5 and your 5, knowing that she has a son with a degenerative brain disease that doesn't walk or talk, is fed with a G-tube and in a wheelchair. Are you going to give her your 5? Says, are you going to split them up? Are you going to let them go to foster care knowing that your sister was raped in foster care? What are you going to do with your children? Are you going to let your dad raise them knowing that he didn't raise you? Why you ran away from home at 14? Are you going to let your mama raise them knowing she didn't raise you? You don't even know your mom like that. You don't have a what are you going to do with your kids? And it was at that moment that I dropped to my knees and I began to cry. And I said, then God help me, because I realized what he did to me is that the Bible tells us that The carnal mind cannot understand the things of the spirit. I was carnal. I didn't have a spiritual relationship at all. He didn't talk to me spiritually either. What he said was the one thing that would save my life, and only God knew that it was my children. And he took away every viable option. You want this? You want this? What about this? What about this? None of those were options that I wanted for children that I loved, which is the only thing that I loved at that time. So once he removed those options and said, okay, here it is. Which one of these you want to pick for your kids? That's when I dropped to my knees and I said, God, help me. Please help me. That's when he heard my cry. He showed me my husband's cousin, Lionel Slade, who was a Christian, who had been inviting us to church all the time. And I would say no. He showed me Lionel's face and he said, call Lionel. I picked up the phone. I called Lionel, told him what just happened. He said, cousin, give me till Sunday. I will pick you and the kids up. Let me take you to church. He took us to church. He introduced me to 6 women. I studied the Bible with those women for 6 months and I gave my life to Christ. That was 24 years ago.
Oh,
and that's when he heard my, and the rest, Dr. Lauren, my whole life has changed because God heard my cry. No drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't take no pills. He changed my whole life, and the outlook for every one of my children has been positive. I can only imagine what would have happened had I stayed in that addiction. I can only imagine what would have happened to my kids, what foster home they would have ended up in. Would they turn out drug addicts? Would they have killed themselves wondering, dang, you know, what kind of mama don't love her kids enough to do X, Y, and Z, and made my kids feel that rejection and abandonment. And I'm so glad that God heard me, because now he's opened opportunity after opportunity for me to share that, yes, God speaks to sinners, because I was one. I did not have a relationship with him, wasn't concerned about him, could care less about him, but he saved my life. He didn't have to, but he did. And he saved my life and has allowed me to just establish anybody I talk to that doesn't look like they have hope. When I share my story and I say, there's hope. I saw it with my own eyes. I don't care how bad it looks. I saw it. So that is the message, that there is always hope. And he gave that to me. He gave that to me. And being on this show is another example of his amazing awesomeness for my life, because I've always said, God, if you give me a platform to share what you did for me, I promise I'll tell the world. I will tell anybody and everybody, you saved my life. And as a result, you saved my children and the trajectory of my life.
Trajectory. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. Here's the most beautiful piece for me in hearing your journey story, your origin story. And I resonate with it. I really do. And I'm about to say something that a lot of people out there go, how can that be? But I know you get it, Rolanda. I know you get it. I'm gonna show you a picture. Hold on, let me grab it.
Okay.
When a couple years ago, I was able to keynote at the Star Trek convention in Las Vegas, right? So this picture right here, right? So I know, and it's like, can you see there? So I'm like pointing, the people are all around, and they showed my Goldcast video before I came out. And so I come out, it's dark, you can't really see the people, they're all around. And I start hearing people yell things out from around the auditorium saying, we're so sorry. That's horrible. No one should have had to endure. And in that moment, and that's when I point, I said, I feel you, and I don't know where you're at, but I hear you. But let me just say this to you right now in this moment. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Okay.
Don't cry for me, because let me tell you something. All those things that you've heard and all those things that I said, they were necessary. How else could I have found my way to this divine moment right now with you? They led me to you. So you know what I'm saying? I receive everything I was meant to live, because look what it did. Just like everything, you know, if you didn't have this testimonial, it would have been because you never went through the test.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And that I know for you, it's most likely the most important thing, like it is for me, is to say, listen, you all, it is still, there is beauty within ashes, just like Joyce Meyer said, beauty within ashes. And so talk about what it means to you today to be able to look at your children, and at the 21, almost 21 grandchildren, and your life. You're an executive director for a nonprofit. Your book is now a stage play that is in rehearsals, premieres in June of March 2nd.
March 2nd
of 2024. And then you're actually working on the screenplay to take the play off the stage into the big screen. Now, when you were living all this stuff, there is no way you could have ever imagined that how, and I tell people this all the time in my masterclass, shameless plug. I even say in there, I remember going, I hear you. I hear what you're telling me this is for and why it is necessary, but why would you put me, how can this be good to put me in this crappy situation with these horrible people? And then I heard the voice say to me, because Lauren, sometimes this is what it takes for you to understand what you can never become. I need to give you examples of what you can never become. I want you to see and experience everything that you were created to be and to do.
Wow.
And so, Rolanda, what are your plans moving forward with all of this blessing? Through trauma? Because see, here's what I love about what you're doing and what a lot of us are doing. A lot of you out there too. Everybody talks about hurt people, but you don't hear as many people saying, well, I have proof that hurt people also heal people.
That's it. Woo.
See, hurt people also heal people. So let's talk about this healing. Would you trade your life for anything?
I wouldn't actually. I wouldn't. I'm not a very, I love the fact I'm not a materialistic person. So I don't, my driving force is not fame and fortune. My driving force is impact. It's impact. If I can save you, and here's the thing, in that 19 years of my husband's addiction before he passed away, I would do everything that I possibly could to try to save and make sure that he was okay. And if this happened or that happened, that I'd be the one trying to pick up the pieces. But I remember God said something to me, and he said, take your hands off of him. You are not his God. And then he began to say, as long as he's calling on you, he will never call on me. And you can't save his soul. You can't save his soul. And I had to learn that there is a difference between helping and hindering. My help is to give you the resources, to give you the examples, to help you by the philosophy, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Everything that I do is about, how do I make you in a better place without making you think I'm God? Because I'm not. I have my own frailties. I have my own things that I bring to the table and ask God to heal me from. Forgiveness. It took a while for my heart, for the concrete of my heart to be chipped away at. I had to forgive my dad. Right now, my father is paralyzed. I've taken care of my dad for 8 months. His whole left-hand side is, I remember all the beatings. I remember him calling me, you're just like your mammy. She wasn't nothing and you're going to be just like her, this. I remember all that emotional abuse. But what God showed me was Jesus on the cross. And when Jesus was dying on that cross, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. What he said to me is, I want you to peel the layers back and look at your father's life. Your father was a white mom, a black dad in the South. He saw people hanging from trees. Imagine the trauma that your father experienced as a child, and then get put in foster care, and then go to a mental institution, and then get treatment. What? He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know how to be better. He doesn't have the resources, nor does he know how to reach out for them. So your father at 19 years old, when he could have walked away from y'all and chose not to raise his kids,
Right.
He chose to raise you with the best he knew how.
To do his best for agreement.
That part. And because of that, I'm just like, God has shown me, look beyond the surface. Find out the root cause of people's hurt. Because if you can find that and they can get healing for that, a whole lot of the symptoms that we see, we would not see anymore. And
Absolutely right.
And he's the healer. He is the healer. It's not me. I can point you to him. I can say, this is what he did for me. I can say, if he did it for a sinner like me, he can certainly do it for you.
Do it for you. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something too. Here's another piece that a lot of people, they don't hold on long enough. Remember, faith is not a thing. Faith is a place.
Yes.
That's why you can't pray for it. You can't say, give me faith, or it wouldn't be faith. Faith, joy, love, peace. These are all places. They are already there. When you need them, you must choose them, speak them into existence, call them forth, because that is how it works. And I'm going to tell you something. I know you relate to this, like with taking care of your dad. I had people in my life where when I was at my lowest, they did things, said things. I was like dirt beneath their feet. And I remember practicing my way out of all of those things that did not serve me, saying to myself, you all just wait. I used what they did to me, thinking, you just wait. One day, you're going to get yours. And I can't wait to be the first one to see it. Then that day came that I had been rehearsing for decades, where that knock or that doorbell rang or that phone call came and that person needed me. And all those times that I had practiced, when this day happens, I'm going to lay it on your ass. And then realized in that moment when I opened the door, I wasn't that person anymore. I said, come on in. I was able to forgive in an instant. And I never believed it would ever be possible, because I was looking forward to the day when I get to throw it back at your black ass. And I'm talking, and that's exactly how I said it. And then I could not do it. It was not me. And and I realized I could have never seen the new me, the improved me, the better me without them.
That's right.
So see how God uses situations and people to help us find our highest selves.
Yes.
Our highest selves. And boy, I just love your story and the way you share it and what you're doing. You are anointed. There's big stuff. I'm telling you, I'm going to prophesy because I see it. I see it. It is coming for you. It's right over that ridge. It's coming. So I just want to encourage you and thank you for everything you have brought here today. This hour flew by for me way too fast. But listen, for those of you out there who want to learn more, I feel like I need to book you to come back for part 2, because I don't think we barely got started. Would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Let's set that up at the end of this. Just hang out. Listen, everybody. You see it scrolling along the bottom, and in case your site's bad like mine can be from time to time, there it is up top as well, her LinkedIn. Go over, and I'm going to drop this exact link inside the comment section in just a moment when we wrap up for easy access. I encourage you to get over, get the book, learn more about all the things, Rolanda, and just have the conversation. Maybe you need someone to hear you. And I think a lot of good will come from this. Rolanda, thank you so much. In parting, if you had a Jerry Springer moment, which I'm going to offer to you right now, what would you leave people with if they were to forget everything they've heard here today, except for this next line? What would it be that you'd hope they'd never forget?
To hold on, that there's always hope, and that God is here no matter what it looks like. Just hold on.
Hold on. Whether you consider yours, and remember, Rolanda was not a believer.
Not at all.
That's why we are told, don't get it twisted. Come as you are.
That part.
You're good enough. You see, when you wake up, you're good enough. You're already good. Get out there today, all of you. Find one E and one R, no matter what it looks like on the outside. Bring that E and that R to the inside, because when you opened your eyes, you were already great. You were already nice. You were already strong. You were already bold. You were already bright. Find that E and that R today and take all of those things to the next level. Brighter, bolder, stronger, nicer. You get it, right? There it is. Thank you so much, everybody. Get out of here. Have the best day ever. God willing, I'll meet you over there tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central on the front porch for another episode of Bathrobe Moments and another illuminated conversation. I wouldn't want to do it without you, and I couldn't do it without you. Remember, when two or more of us comes together, spiritual magic is the outcome. Today is proof. Rolanda, thank you so much. God bless you. Man, boy,
Bye,
great
everybody.
job. Great job. See you guys.
Thank you.
Woo!